Today's show is brought to you by Hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Peterball family farm, Hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsdirect.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Forgetting Flameout editions, rubber-handled kegs causing a mess, cleaning plastic draft faucets, and carbonating a nitrogen beer. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 308. Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com, click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or now you can call or text them in by using 325-305-6107. I'm your host, Joshua Stubing. Joining me as always are my co-host. He is the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com down there, Mr. James Carlson, as well as the President and Chief Keg Washer of kegconnection.com, Mr. Todd Burns. Gentlemen, bienvenidos. That's Spanish for welcome. I always love James knows some Spanish from hearing, but I like though, like if we're talking Spanish at all, you're just like, like
yeah,
thanks.
I don't know near as much as y'all think I do.
Oh, you pretend you look like sometimes we're sitting in there in the brew room and talking with the girls or Vilver or whomever in Spanish, and sometimes I really do think like he knows. You just have a good poker face, is what it must be. Must be a great poker face.
I think that about the people that can't speak English. Yeah, they know what I'm saying.
Yeah, they know what I'm saying. They know. Yeah, I like to. I when we do talk Spanish, I don't know what is the Spanish equivalent for Todd. Like my name, Todd, is Josue, and then James would be Jaime. Well,
There's not one.
There isn't, right?
They call me Toad.
Toad.
Well,
Toad.
When I was growing up, my parents had. My brother's soccer team had a kid on it that my parents helped this kid out a lot. His name was Rogelio, which is like Roger, but he'd call me George when he tried to say Josh. George. So from like age 8 till present day, sometimes my dad will, instead of saying Josh, he calls me George. That's how Vilver will say my name too, though, to be fair. He is George. But
So sometimes people call me Sapo in Spanish because that means toad.
Or toad, yeah.
and my name's Todd, and they say toad.
Sapo.
Because it's hard to say Todd for a lot of people that speak Spanish, so they say toad, and then they start calling me Sapo. It kind of goes downhill. It's kind of like who else? There's somebody else that has a nickname in Spanish. I'll think of it in a minute. But anyway,
I can't say mine on air because people who speak Spanish will get offended. But I have a nickname too.
Oh yeah, you do. It's funny. It's the same nickname I use for you in English sometimes.
It It is absolutely. Our bookkeeper Josh Brown. Whenever we're around Vilver, I call him Hosway Cafe, and it makes me laugh every time I do it. And Josh is just like, "You're an idiot." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but it's for my pleasure." As is this show. Let me get us into some things that are relevant. For
absolutely.
this. You just texted me. Oh, that's the drink package. So it's wow. Okay, for people listening, we were talking about Todd's going on a cruise with his wife to celebrate their 25th anniversary. Which anniversary is it? 15.
Anyway.
Your wedding anniversary. What do you mean anyway? You don't know either. Ha! Look at that. I like it. Listen. Listen. But anyway, we were talking about
24th, I think.
24th. Yeah. Okay. We were talking about they're going on a cruise, and I was telling them how, you did get the booze package? It was worth it when my wife and I went. This was 5 years ago now. He'd sent me it's $60 a person per day, and why don't they
$120?
Yeah, $120 a day for.
Sheesh.
James, could you get $120 worth of booze a day?
No way.
That's a lot of booze. Even on a cruise ship, that's a lot. And
so they say, well, it's $59.95 per person. So it's like, well, if the drinks are $10 and I'm drinking, and some drinks are even more than that, it may make sense. But then the wife has to also have the same.
Anyone in your cabin,
in the same room.
Anyone in the cabin has to get that's 21 and up. Everyone in the cabin has to get it. So that's total marketing right there. Saying, it's only $59.95 a person. Small print. Yeah. Every person in the cabin has to get it. Oh, so much money. And the drinks, you're not going to get that. Your wife, Todd, is not going to get her money's worth.
No, I could get my money out of my $59.95. Don't you worry about that, my friend.
Ironclad liver. That was his nickname in college. Anyways, I do have relevant small talk before we get going on here. I'm going to throw it on the screen. Y'all aren't going to see it, but I wanted to mention, because we didn't on the Black Friday episode that we did the week of Thanksgiving. We talked about some gift ideas. We talked about some things for people, the deals we were doing. One thing I failed to mention, because it was a Cyber Monday that's when we launched this special. Put it on the screen, boom, a DIY Herms brewing bundle, 20-gallon kit. They're all 20-gallon vessels for only $14.95. Todd Burns, that is a blowout price for everything for the Brautag except the controller. Everything.
Right. So you could use your own controller or order a controller. The controller in ours is fairly expensive, but the idea is basically that we have kettles and all that equipment that we ordered before pricing went up a lot. So we're able to move some of that out. It really is a great deal. I mean, it's a great price.
It's stupid low. And I think James used the word stupid low when we were talking about it. He was like, that is crazy. But James, you, as a man who brews on the Brautag, both of y'all, between the both of y'all want a brew day a week, I feel like.
It seems like I hadn't brewed in a while, but
it's been a few weeks for you, but these vessels and all that, this is your baby. You have done all the work on the kettles, all the connections and all that come with. I mean, it is literally everything but the controller, right? It's
got the heating elements in it. It's got all the tubing. The only thing that doesn't include is the electrical part, which would be the wiring, the sensors, the box. So you get your box. The plugs are all pretty much going to be the same. It's a 3-prong plug, and you just hook it up and you're ready to go.
Yeah,
or build your own controller.
Yeah, you were telling me the idea behind this is it is a DIY. That a lot of people do like building their own electric system, or some people already have their own controller for maybe a smaller system, and this DIY kit would let them upgrade to the 20-gallon vessels. Because I always say, it produces 15-gallon batches, and then Todd corrects me. Actually, most of my batches are 17 gallons or whatever you're topping off at now.
18. Well, I mean, it's what you get in the keg versus what you actually brew. So I do 17.5-gallon batches. Sometimes I take them up to 18, depending on what the numbers are and how it tastes. And I mean, I've done 19. The Kolsch I did was 19, and I was able to totally fill up the fermenter, because you remember, you always lose stuff at the bottom of any brewing system. You're going to lose some stuff because you don't want to put all that crap into your fermenter, right? So,
right.
As you lose stuff twice, you lose stuff when you come out of the boil, and then you lose stuff when you come out of the fermenter. But we always account or know about that, and that way we typically, James and I both typically will completely fill up 3 5-gallon kegs, and 5-gallon kegs actually hold more than 5 gallons. So, we're getting more than 5 gallons. More than 15 gallons on a lot of recipes, and that's final product.
Yeah. And I'll just say, well, that y'all started compensating in your batches so that you could get full kegs, because there are times like the my next part of the small talk, which I won't totally segue us to, like my pop and I, y'all's kegs are actually going to be closer to like 4.5 gallons of breakfast stout, because we didn't yield.
I always give you 5 gallons. I want 5.
I will open it and dilute it with water.
But we can of course you get some credit for alcohol, I bet. What's the alcohol level on it?
8.2, I think.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, you get a little alcohol credit. We'll give you a half gallon for that.
We're getting smashed.
That's a big beer.
So I will segue us then. It is a big beer. We did we're happy with how it turned out. It's cold conditioning in my fridge right now, guys, or at least one of y'all's kegs. One of them stayed there at his house, and then our keg of it stayed there. But I didn't have room for both y'all's here, and he didn't have room for both y'all's there, so I took one to cold condition here. But that brew day was a very successful brew day. We did we did a double batch while you and us were recording the episode last week. 2 weeks ago, pardon me, or 3 weeks ago. I forget how long ago it was, but this is the first batch that we didn't do a secondary in carboys, and I'm real interested to see, because we made sure the floating dip tubes on the Firmzilla and the Anvil Fermenter King ensured we didn't bring any crud over with us going into the keg. This was our first close transfer and our first time using a floating dip tube. My dad's a huge believer now. He loves it. He loved the whole experience of doing close transfer with a floating dip tube. It was like life-changing.
You're probably going to get stuff on the bottom of your keg, but it'll come out in the first pour.
Right.
And then it'll be clear after that, so you'll be fine.
Right. Yeah. So we weren't too worried.
I don't want any crap on mine coming out in the first pour.
Oh, it's going to be
4.5 gallons of pure beer on mine.
I hope the first pour of yours comes out coffee grinds of Folgers decaf. That's what I use.
God.
No, I'm kidding. Well, I don't know about the Folgers part. He used a blend. He still had some Kona left, and I don't know which one of y'all's kids got the Kona and which got the Folgers. It's kind of
I want the Kona.
We'll see. We'll ask him. Obviously, I'm going to lie to both of you when I give you the keg. Hey, don't tell Todd, James, but yours has Kona. And don't tell James, Todd, but yours has the Kona. Anyway, so yeah, our breakfast stout, y'all's breakfast stout is cold conditioning. So is my dad and I's. Now, that's a style where cold conditioning in the keg, it means we're just leaving it at serving temps until we want to start drinking it. Our batch is sitting on some gas to get it carbonated. Y'all's, I was going to let y'all carbonate it, or would y'all like me to force carb before I bring it?
No, I can carbonate mine.
Okay, that's what I assumed, because like I said, right now they're just sitting in the fridge. And it is, again, it's a style where it could sit in there for months and then be delicious still.
The last time you made it, I had it for a long time after the new year. I mean, I think I had it for 6 or 8 months, and it was still good.
You did, because remember at the birthday party, at your party, or was it your party or Liz's party? One of y'all's parties, your friends didn't like it. They were talking.
Nobody but me likes it.
And James likes it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's delicious.
I'm saying that a lot of people that aren't brewers and haven't done a lot of craft beer, one of their first comments is always, "I don't like dark beer."
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, the color really doesn't have anything to do with whether you like it or not. You probably just had a Guinness stout, decided you didn't like that, therefore all dark beers taste like that, and I don't like them. And a lot of times I'll give them a real light, darker beer, like that ESB I have on tap sometimes, or what's the other one that we brewed before, James? That's dark,
the
but
Chet Dark
actually
Lager,
has a
maybe?
light. Yeah, like a dark lager or something like that. And they're like, oh my God, this actually tastes good. So yeah, people just have a perception.
Well, talking about perception, before I get into the small talk, or pardon me, the listener feedback and questions, a guy I train with, he was telling me about how people conflate dark beer with bitter, being more bitter being heavier, like boozier, which a lot of the times can be the case. But I was telling the guy, well, Guinness, what is Guinness, like 4.5? He goes, no way, Guinness is low ABV. I said,
super low
calorie.
I actually
and
thought
ABV.
Guinness was like 3.5.
Well, I think the original, like Ireland, like I think today is 4.3. Like is what they distribute out in the States. I don't know what they still distribute out in Dublin, but in Ireland. But I'm pretty sure it's 4.3, and it's low calorie considering the style. I was like, it's basically a health drink. Today I was like, no man, Guinness. You're talking about Guinness? Guinness is a stout. I thought you knew beer. And I was like, okay, let's wrestle. I'm gonna choke you. But anyway, so yeah, DIY Herm's Kit. I'll put it back on the thing. If you
4.2. I just looked it up.
4.2. See, so that's low. That's damn near session. That's
well, I'd have lost that bet because I'd have thought it was 3.5.
Oh, I should have bet you $5. But anyway, so let me put it back on the screen again. Back to the top of the small talk. Go to kegconnection.com. If you go to the home page, it's right there. The DIY Herms Brewing Bundle. It's a limited time offer we're doing now. Might be through the month of December, but that's still limited time. But if you have questions, call Todd or James about anything or any reservations you might have about getting into Herms Brewing if it's your first time, specifically regarding buying controllers or whatever you want to do with that kit. You can give them a call at the office line 325-356-5204. That's the Keg Connection hotline. And then moving on, we do have 4 questions for y'all this week. But before we get into the questions, let me see if I can do this right. It's time for listener feedback. Did it work this time? Did y'all hear the music and all that this week? Or are you still not hearing it?
No, I heard it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last week, y'all scared me when I was recording from the office. Anyway, listener feedback this week is from our buddy Peter from Ottawa, Canada, about roasting grains.
Hey guys, this is Peter from Ottawa, Canada, and I am calling to give some feedback on roasting own grains. I've done it exactly twice, and the first time I did it was for that exact reason of trying to make a smash beer a little bit different. It was a challenge of a recipe challenge where everyone was given the same ingredients, and there was like 3 or 4 of us, and we all had to make a beer, and I think mine won, but because it was the only one that was a little bit dark. So what I did to roast it was I don't remember exactly how much of it, but I took some of it and I put it in on a cookie sheet and I sprayed it with water, the thinking that I was stopping it from burning right away. And then I watched it until I liked the color of it. It was very unscientific. I did that pre-crush, of course, and then when I was done, I crushed it in, and the beer was a little bit darker. It's hard to know the impact that it made. It's not, like I said, not super scientific. There you go. There's my feedback. Keep up the great work, everybody. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
I like the A that he added.
Yeah, that was cool. Yep.
Canada A. Peter, thank you for the feedback. Not scientific could be the alternate title of this show. Like, it could just, like, basically what he's saying is it worked for me. If it worked for me, it worked for me. And that's our whole philosophy for everything we do. Like, and that's a brilliant idea, spraying it with water to try to help compensate for any kind of over roasting or burning, scorching that could have happened. Again, though, for me, roasting or changing the color doesn't bother me enough to even try it. I've never roasted grains anyway. I haven't, and like you told me, James, it was almost kind of it almost added anxiety to the brew day, right? When you roast, because the fine line between like perfection and overdoing it is just kind of thin.
Yeah. I just, like he did, it's, I don't know how you could be scientific without a specific tool to roast. I think that the roasters that they use for the malt, they're always moving the grains, kind of like a coffee roaster. So and then they have a probably temperature and time, and the grains are always moving. But when you've got it in the oven, you got to be real careful. Always under than over, and shake the cookie sheet quite a bit to keep them from scorching.
Absolutely. And this is a great reminder. If and when you send us a voicemail feedback, we do give you a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. Even our friends from Canada. Hey, that might cover shipping on something that you order. You never know. But we do ship to Canada. We will ship there. But yeah, James shaking his head. Does $25 not cover anything to Canada? You're shaking your head. I assumed a pack of O-rings? He can't get a pack of O-rings and that cover the shipping?
Maybe.
You know what's funny? I will say this. People, myself probably included, don't have any idea how much shipping has gone up. There was a guy during the Black Friday weekend who was like, he ordered, I don't know, 4.5 pounds worth of stuff, or he was going to, and it was going to have to go in a box. Like I did the math, like a 6x6x6, and it's going up to like Minnesota. He goes, I really don't feel comfortable paying $10. Is there some free shipping you can give me? And I sent it to Todd, and Todd was like, tell him we would be happy to charge him what it actually cost us to ship it. Like it was gonna be more than $9.95. Like $9.95 almost never covers it. But anyway, I digress. That's what I do on the show.
We shipped a 10 by 10 by 10 box, a little carbonating kit, which is just a regulator hose with a carb cap. It was $50 USPS to Canada.
Okay, well, Peter, you got a 25, and Peter's called in before. I think he might have $50 added up. That is a lot of people when they leave voicemail. That's their strategy. They've told me, like, I'm thinking of questions that would be good for the show, so I can build up a credit. I was like, y'all are brilliant. Yeah, I'm just handing it away. Get your brow tag. But anyway, we do have 4 questions. Our first question, I'm calling it question 0, is from Joshua from San Marcos, who is using the Homebrew Happy Hour podcast as his own way of getting help. Hi, Joshua. You're incredible, intelligent, handsome, and charming. I do have a question, but it's for Todd and James, since I'm actually asking this for myself, and it's me asking the question. But it's relevant.
There's no way you're getting a gift certificate.
Oh, you beat me to it.
No way.
I already added it to my account. Let me get the question out. My pop and I recently brewed a 2 3/4 gallon batch of breakfast stout using the remainder of grains and hops we had from the first big batch brew day that we did. When it came time to cut the heat and do our Flameout additions of chocolate and coffee, we forgot to. The wort got down to 110 before we realized our mistake, so we turned the heat back up on our Grainfather G40 to 210, which took 15 to 20-ish minutes, cut the power back off, and did our Flameout additions. How bad did we mess up this batch? What would y'all have done? Because my dad was freaking out when it happened. I was saving it for this show, though. I was like, I didn't call the day of because I was like, no, I'm going to save it for the show. It would make for great live television or not edited podcast. So
I think Scott and I would have made a better team, and between the two of us, we wouldn't have forgotten.
Okay, fair enough. I agree. But what happened. Should we have added the additions at 110 and let it keep cooling, James? Or was it okay to have heated it back up? Like, what did we do by heating it back up? What?
I don't think you heard anything.
Okay,
like it was a breakfast stout, right?
Correct. We had leftovers, a little bit of leftover grains, and I brought home for my last trip up there half an ounce of Willamette for us to use because he was like, "Well, what do we use these grains for? They're already here." I was like, "Okay, let's do a third batch." But it'll be, really small, and we'll use one of my 2.5 gallon kegs. Okay, deal.
Yeah, kind of like that question from last week, right?
What was the one last week?
He was said using. He would do a second batch from the spent.
Oh
grains.
the party dial brew. Yeah, but for this one, it was a whole new brew day.
Yeah, these were new grains.
It was new grains.
Okay.
No, these were new grains. Okay. But the wort, like I said, we didn't.
I thought the same thing when I read the question the first time. When I heard it, I was like, okay.
We had the additions in the fridge. I forgot to take them out, so we kind of forgot about them. It gets to 110, and my dad goes, "Oh crap!" He didn't say crap though, but this is a family-friendly show. And I said, "What?" As I'm on his couch smoking a cigar, watching World Cup, I'm helping, and I go, "What, Dad? What are you talking about?" He goes, I forgot the additions." And I was like, "Yeah, you did. How did you forget those? How could you?" As then I turned around and kept watching World Cup. But what, in the bigger picture of things, what would you have just, okay, it's 110. Let's just add the chocolate and coffee now and get it down. Or would you have heated it up as well, James?
Yeah, I probably would have heated it back up.
Okay. One, Todd, you're not rolling your eyes, but you have.
No, I'm cleaning my glasses.
Oh, You're totally
Sorry.
checked out. That's I hate you. What would I mean? You never forget anything, and this is like the third time I've forgotten something on a brew day that I've admitted to y'all. What would you have done, Todd?
I suspect you could probably have added them and it wouldn't have hurt anything, but you would have heating it back up would be the safest way to do it. I don't know. I bet coffee. I bet coffee
chocolate
wouldn't hurt it. I don't know.
It was actually Brits of chocolate that went in it too. So I was like, at 110, they'll probably melt. Like they'll or melt enough or add the flavor enough. But it was
I think the only thing you do by heating it up, you could possibly make it a little hoppier. But on that beer, I don't think you would even notice it would be so little.
Okay. Well,
I don't think you get the flavor extraction at that 110 that you would heating it back up. So.
Gotcha. And thankfully, again, with electric brewing,
that's true. You mean the coffee wouldn't
have come through.
The flavor of the coffee wouldn't come out. That makes sense.
With electric brewing, like y'all with the Brautag, it doesn't take hardly any time at 220 to heat up to whatever temps, getting it to boil or mash strike temp.
No, at 220, it wouldn't take long at all.
Right. 220 volt. What do you mean?
220 volt.
That's what I meant. I meant they're running 220 volt. Like if this was a 110,
it takes longer than you think.
Well, but for our little batches, so we on the G40, it was a little under 3 gallons of work. I'm saying it didn't take long at all to get that up. You're right. You're 18 gallons. It does take a lot longer to get than 3 gallons to temp. But that's why I told him, let's just crank it up and do it. And I had thought to call or text y'all, but I wanted a way to bring it up on the show and get a gift card. But now my gift card's been denied, so I regret bringing it up because now I just look like an idiot.
I don't think you read the fine print on the gift cards. Excludes employees, family of employees.
Well then, I'm going to edit out that whole question 0 so I don't look stupid. No, I'm not. This would be normally the time I remind people when you submit a question, you get a gift card, but I don't get a gift card. So what I'm going to do is play a voicemail from our actual first question of the show for someone who will get a gift card, a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. It's our buddy Rick from New England.
Hi, this is Rick from New England, home of the New England IPA. Yum. Josh, fantastic podcast. You're the best host of any of the beer podcasts. And Todd and James, you guys are saints for letting them host this podcast. Got a quick question for you. I have a bunch of used kegs, and the black rubber kind of gets on my hands and gets all over everything on some of my older ones. Is there anything that that can fix that can clean those up where I'm not getting black everywhere? Thanks. Appreciate it.
I didn't actually even listen to his question when he submitted it. I heard the first part and I go, oh yeah, add it to the show. Todd, Keg King over there, or I don't know if I can say that. That's probably trademarked by Keg King out of Australia. The king of kegs over here, Mr. Todd Burns. It happens, right? Regardless of the blue rubber handle, the green, the red, the black, whatever. It sometimes leaches, and I'm assuming that's from exposure to the elements, because some of these kegs have been sitting in yards at PepsiCo.
UV damage.
UV damage, right? So is there anything, can you scrub that all the way off to prevent leaching, or what would you do if it's bad, short of just, you got to wear gloves?
And doing this for 16 years now, right?
Yep.
I have never thought about it. I just use it, and if I get black stuff on my hands, I'll wash my hands. It's never crossed my mind.
I like that answer. I mean, I like the honesty, because you're right. It's like you view it as just a minor inconvenience of dealing with that keg, because obviously a lot of I'll go ahead and say the majority of kegs that we have don't do that to a point that it's making your hands.
I would say a lot of them do, but maybe not super bad, but you're going to get some.
Right. It happens, and you're just saying, I just wash my hands afterwards.
Yeah, I get stuff.
I've got
all kinds of stuff on me.
I've got a suggestion.
Go for it.
Did a lot of car restorations over the last 30 years, and we run into rubber, especially rubber around weather stripping and sunroofs. what happens is the plasticizers and some of the agents, and they actually add a product called Carbon Black to create that black, dark, deep color. And what happens over time, those break down, like Todd said, due to UV exposure. And that Carbon Black is what's coming off on your hands. What I found to do in rejuvenate, I can't even say that word.
Rejuvenating. Yeah, we knew.
Rejuvenating the rubbers, and also some of the trim can do that too. Sprayway makes a rubber
Rejuvenator. Yeah.
rejuvenator. I can't say that word. I don't know. That's a good product. What I usually do in the past is I'll take some Dawn dishwashing liquid and some warm water and a red Scotch-Brite, scrub that outer layer off really good, and then you can take some of that rubber
Rejuvenator.
yeah, thank you. and you can spray it with that. You can also use any kind of I'll tell you what I've done in the past is I've used satin clear paint, scrubbed it real good, and did a light coat of clear paint over the rubber. The satin works because it doesn't leave a shiny finish. It still looks kind of like it's supposed to for the most part, but it definitely won't get on your hands anymore. We had a product when I used to work for I was a parts manager for GM dealership, and we had a product. It was extremely expensive, but it came in a foil package, and it was a sponge, and it had a special chemical in it, and you could wipe down exterior rubber trim, and it would bring it back to almost like new. And they probably still have that product online or at the dealerships, and it's trim restoration. And I would suspect it worked really well with kegs.
Dude, that's a brilliant idea too, about the retouching it up after you scrub it off, because now you're establishing a new top layer that.
Yeah, you're just getting rid of that. Think of it as like skin layers.
Yeah.
You're getting that top part off. But a red Scotch-Brite's a little more aggressive than a gray. So I always use that with some mild soap, and it seemed to work better. But if it gets so bad that you just can't stand it, get some satin black clear and clean it real good and spray 2 or 3 coats, and you'll be fine.
I was going to say, because I suspect, like Todd said, I don't think it's a majority of kegs, but enough where we get this question sometimes from people, never taking it on the air because no one submitted it's ever sucked up to me. But with Rick's situation, it's obviously bothering him enough to where, that's a great solution. And I didn't know that about the Scotch things. The red one is the like more.
The red's the coarse, the gray's the finer.
Okay.
And get a red and use that and scrub it down real good. That may be all it needs.
Yeah.
But you can take care of it for the most part. Now, if you have a keg, we've got some kegs behind the building that's just sat out in the sun for 10 years. That would take a lot of sanding.
A lot, right?
Shoot some clear.
And for context, the kegs he's talking about are scrap kegs. They're not going out to you guys buying them at Keg Connection. They're ones that at some point. Well, actually, Todd, didn't someone just offer you, or did y'all? Has that not? That was very recent.
Didn't work out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that it's a weird thing trying to scrap kegs because
people don't want them. The scrap yards don't like them because of the rubber tops and bottoms.
Yeah,
they I guess they get it on their hands when they're trying to scrap them.
Yeah, like, oh, we're not. You got to take care of this handle, man. Well,
and it's too much work to remove them.
It's so much work getting a plasma cutter, right? Isn't that what you did at one point, Todd?
Yep.
Not worth it, was it?
Nope, it was not worth the cost of the plasma cutter or the labor.
Yeah, but you tried it.
Yet another failed idea.
Yeah. Is that what you call me? Anyway.
You're a work in progress.
A work in progress. I like it. Beats the alternative and that Spanish nickname that you give me. So wrapping up Britt's question. Yeah, try James's method. That seems like the most tried and true. And I'm going to say that he can go ahead and email jcarlson@homebrewhappyhour.com or jcarlson@cmbecker.com if he needs, further elaboration. But yeah, for you, James, though, has it been an issue enough to where lately you've done it, or it's just a mild inconvenience when you notice it leaching onto your hand?
Yeah, just a mild inconvenience. I think for the most part, the kegs that Todd gets in, most of them, I'd say 90% of them don't have those issues. They're in really good shape.
Yeah,
so we've been lucky.
I agree. And Rick,
racetracks tend to have it more than ball locks too. I don't know why, but maybe it's something about how they were made or stored, but I see it a lot more in racetrack kegs.
You know what? Let me digress. First off, Rick, thank you so much for submitting the question. A great time to remind y'all, if and when you do submit a question and we take it as a voicemail on a future episode, you get a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. Using the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com or sending us a text will get you a $15 gift card, which I think is pretty stinking good. Before I go on to our second question of the show, the nicest keg that we had or have in our whole lineup of kegs, Todd, is a racetrack keg. My dad was like, "Where did this keg come from?" And I was like, "Oh, that's probably the one Todd sent with us at some point. It had, I don't know what, one of your beer, because it was sitting in the storage closet." He was like, "Oh my God, it's in such good shape, but the lid, it's like perfectly fit, oval. Like it's this weird lid. I've never seen it." And I was like, "What?" So I went over there. I was like, I'll be darned. That's normally racetrack. I say normally, in my anecdotal experience, racetracks have been kind of not beat up from a denting and all that, but they've been around the block. And that's why a lot of the times we do flash sales on them at a lower price. And also we do the flash sale because the lids aren't universal to other kegs, right? It's more specialized where the O-rings are universal, but the lids aren't. But yeah, the nicest keg we have out of our whole lot, man, go figure, is a racetrack keg, and it's in real good shape. My dad was like, "Should we give that one back to Todd?" I go, No, let's get this other single handle, all ripped up one. We'll send his breakfast out in that. So good look on your face, boss. Thank you so much, Rick. Again, our second question is a text message from our buddy Michael from Florida, who used our text hotline at 325-305-6107. Michael wrote, "Michael from Florida, curious if Todd recommends the every 2-week method of cleaning beer lines if I am using a Keg Connection basic kegerator kit. It's a plastic faucet. Does it need more cleaning than metal faucets? Thanks." For context for our audience, the plastic one is like the party tap, or I've heard it called Cobra tap in liquor stores before, but the very basic, just cheapo plastic nozzle on a draft line going to his ball lock keg. That's what we're talking about cleaning. When you do your every 2-week method that you suggest, Todd, is it regardless of dispensing method, or is there some context that you give?
It's such a loaded question, because a lot of times when people are using party faucets, they're using them outside. They're using them, even in the middle of the summer. And I mean, if you have a party tap and you keep it in a fridge all the time, and you open the fridge and you dispense beer out of it, then you could get by with a 2-week thing probably fine. But the vast majority of the time when people are using party faucets, they're using them at room temperature or hotter. And I pretty much clean a party faucet every time I use it, because I'm not using it in a cold condition.
That makes total sense. Okay, so the context that changes is the like the temperature that your faucet is exposed to. I know, not exposed to. That's a dumb thing to say,
you don't want to leave beer in a line at 80, 90 degrees
sure
for very long. It's going to go bad quick. It's just like that when you pour a beer out of your faucet and you haven't used your faucet since the day before. And I love the story of my buddy Eric when he came, and I was like, try this beer, this Double that I have. And he takes a sip and he goes, God, that's terrible. That's the worst beer I've ever tried in my life. And I said, "You sound like Josh." So then I said, wait a minute. You just walked up and poured.
Uh-oh. Todd's out. Uh-oh. Look at him too. He's scrambling. Oh, people watching right now got to go to youtube.com. We can't hear you. youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. Todd is, there he goes. He's freezing up. I
wonder why. We're on the same internet. So.
I know his computer crapped out on him on y'all's Zoom call a couple weeks ago too. Remember, he had to go sit in your office. Yeah. He should have bought a backup. Well, no, he just bought that, didn't he? Isn't that is his?
Yeah, it's a new computer.
Yeah, it's a new computer. Anyways,
maybe the hub.
Well, he'll come back when he comes back. I'm not editing nothing out. He's trying to make more work for me, and how dare he? You don't use draft faucets. I almost it's time for my cringe idea of the week, everybody. That's a new segment. I'm going to come up with a bumper, maybe. If I was using a draft line after every batch, if you don't want to clean it, tubing is so cheap, and you just pop that party faucet out. I would change the lines between every batch is what I would do.
Yeah, but you know what else is cool about those cheap party tap faucets is you can unscrew it and you can you can run your brush through it, and you can put it up to, my faucet has a spray head and a regular stream. So I'd unscrew it, put it against that, and run hot water through it. Simple. I mean,
that's
it
brilliant.
doesn't take a whole lot of time. You could even take it apart and just soak it in a sink full of dishwashing liquid
or brew clean or whatever. Yeah.
brew clean or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, even warm water.
Yeah. No, that's a
And I
brilliant
think
idea.
that would work.
Did I show you the video? And here's Mr. Burns again. That's fantastic. Technology is
That's
so
from the laptop.
Yeah.
It's a laptop camera.
Technology is so hard for him. Did he show you the video of my pop? My pop was using the ball lifter for our beer line cleaning kits that was meant for commercial taps, turning it around for that yellow handle to hold up the lifter inside a ball lock disconnect. And
That's a great idea.
Oh, it worked beautiful. Rinsing it completely out. I was like, I asked Todd, have we ever done a video on this or told people that you could use it this way? He was like, no, and does your dad want royalties if we make a video on it? I was like, I'm not going to tell him.
Well, and to keep in mind, everybody has a screwdriver in the house.
That's what a lot of people
If you don't
use.
have a way, just unscrew the lid. We call the lid the cap on the disconnect. There's just 3 parts under that. There's a gasket, a spring, and a depressor. Take those out, soak all that in some cleaning solution, rinse it out real good, put it back together.
Yeah.
Really simple, easy,
it is
fast.
That's what most people's biggest compliments about CM Becker faucets and disconnects is the serviceability of them. Like being able to maintain them and not, like we've said it before on the show a million times. You've talked yourself out of sales in a commercial setting because they were like, we're going to we see your hand, Todd. They're like, oh, it's time to reorder. We're going to reorder 10 faucets, and you're like, well, why? Let me get you a rebuild kit and like a fraction of the cost. But again, that's the service and all that you provide.
Yeah,
but
that's the reason why you buy a CM Becker product is they're not disposable. There he is.
Exactly. Hey.
Just shut down. It was weird. I did that on a meeting a while back.
Yeah, I was telling him that last week in your Zoom call, you had to go to James' office. Y'all had a Zoom call with Germany, and your computer just crapped out. That's the new computer too, right?
No, but the weird thing is it seems like it's timing out or something on Zoom because it's only happened on Zoom. All 3 screens go completely black, and I haven't touched anything. I'm just standing here.
Mm-hmm. Technology is hard. You want to finish your thoughts though, Todd, of what you were saying about the draft lines? I gave a cringe idea of the week, my new segment, where I said I would just after every batch pop off that from the line and replace the line every time. Liquid tubing is so dirt cheap, and I am so ridiculously lazy that I would just keep tubing in bulk and just pop it off and redo it. And that is a cringy idea, but actually the more I say it, the more I like it. Maybe I'm not ashamed of that idea. But you want to finish up your thoughts as we wrap up Michael's?
Oh no, I just rinse the line every time I'm using it, unless you got it in a system where it's cold. I mean, that's all I'm saying is I was talking about Eric drinking that beer, and then I said, you know what? Try that beer again now that you poured the first of the faucet out. And he tried it again. He's like, oh, wow, that's really good. I should do that every time I pour a beer on your system. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, I do that every time I pour a beer. I always take a little glass, or I have a big glass that sits there, and I pour a little off the faucet if I haven't had anything to drink off of it for a day or two, which is unusual.
I know
more than a day.
I know when you had that conversation with Eric because it was opening weekend, and I know this because after that he became the foremost expert on first pour. He would tell everyone like when they got there the night of, he goes, well, hold on, let me get the sample cup because you want to always pour out a little first before you do your own pour.
He's a quick learner.
He's a quick learner, and he became the expert. I love it. Although he did welch out on a bet with you for $1, I'd like to remind him. He asked you what planet it was, and it was Venus, I think, or it was Jupiter.
Yeah, he welched. One of my other buddies welched on a bet too the next weekend. I can't trust him as much as you, Josh. You always pay your debts.
And their bets were only $1. I was like, guys, I'm $820 in the hole with Todd on $5 bets. Y'all won't pay him $1. I might not be 820, but I'm in the hole a lot. I'm about to be, I have 31 days till I win $5 from Todd because we made a $5 bet that I wouldn't lose another $5 bet for the rest of 2022. And we did that in September. Like I've been going strong.
But the funny thing is that you haven't bet on like 4 bets in a row where you would have won.
Because you're setting me up.
So you've actually lost $15 so far.
No. This is like when my wife goes to Target and she goes, "No, honey, I saved $100." I'm like, "No, you didn't. You spent $300. What are you talking about?" "No, honey, I saved $100." Whatever. Anyways, wrapping it up for Michael. Yeah, I mean, cleaning, like it is contextual. I'm assuming, because I looked up his order, that he probably has it set up in the fridge and doing all that. But either way, cleaning it after every batch is always the safe bet, regardless of your setup. Like if you're not going to do every 2 weeks, cleaning your lines and soaking your faucets after your keg floats is the perfect time and the perfect reminder, assuming it's not months and months and months and months of sitting there. If it's a normal thing. Oh, there goes Todd again. But thank you, Michael, so much for submitting that question. We're not waiting for Todd. We're going to get right into our final question of the week. It's another voicemail using our hotline at 325-305-6107. This time it's from our buddy Derek from Seattle.
Hi, this is Derek from Seattle, Washington. I'm calling about nitrogen-pushed beers. I do realize it's beer gas. There's plenty out there on how to set up a nitrogen system, but there isn't much out there, if anything, about how to carbonate your nitrogen-pushed beer, your stout or cream ale, or whatever you're using. So that's my question. I would like to know about that. How's that done, and how's that done quick rather than slow? Thank you very much. Bye.
I didn't look it up, I promise, but my understanding always, and this is where I should do, it's time for Josh getting corrected. Don't you just force carb it the same way you would any beer, because nitrogen just serves as the method of pushing it through, and that's why you have the diffuser and a nitrogen faucet to separate the nitrogen out from at the pour. Nitrogen's just being used to push it through, right? Aren't you force carbing it with like CO2, or you?
No, not exactly. I mean, so you would want to typically carbonate the beer some, but it's usually when it's nitrogen, it's a real low carbed beer, like a stout. So you're not going to want to force carbonate it and then taste it and go, okay, that's got, that's that. I could keep that at 10 or 12 psi and it's going to stay at that level. You probably want to do it more like, I could keep that at 5 or 6 or whatever psi. And instead of talking about volumes of beer, I like to talk about psi, because a lot of people don't understand volumes of beer and it gets confusing. So what I always say is I carbonate it until that's going to maintain it at about that psi. So let's say you do it at about 6 to 8. You can do that and carbonate it, and then you serve it with the beer gas, and it will keep some carbonation on it because it does have CO2 in it.
Oh, right. Okay. That makes total sense. So
versus just a straight 100% nitrogen gas. Is that right?
Yeah. If you did it with a straight 100% nitrogen gas, you're obviously going to lose carbonation pretty quickly as you're serving the beer.
Well, and I learned about, like, when we had a project with Farmer Coffee or whatever they're called out of Dallas, and I'll throw them under the bus. They kept that kegerator, and you're like, if you can get it back, you can have it. This was years and years ago, and I tried to get it back, and I couldn't get it back. But Farmers, I think they're called Farmers. Either way, they're going to sue me for defamation.
I think it was Farmer Brothers.
There we go. Thank you, James. Now they're suing you for defamation.
They were very nice
people. I know. I'm just bitter because
we were just too lazy to go back and get it.
That's what it was. You were like, when I called them, and Todd was like, "No, dude, you have to go get it." I was like, "Oh no, I'm not doing that. I'm not driving up to Dallas to get the fridge. That's silliness." But anyway, I learned at that point, cold brew coffee is just nitrogen. Like that requires just nitrogen. But with
you don't want any CO2 in cold brew coffee. Just to explain why. Because the carbonic acid gives it a bad aftertaste or off taste.
And that project's when I learned it. Because, again, I operate on a lot of assumptions. You already know that, Todd. I'm preaching to the choir. But I get an idea in my head, and it's the correct idea until it's corrected, and I'm feel like an idiot. But that whole project, or the beginning of it, I was like, oh yeah, we deal with nitrogen stuff all the time. It won't be hard. And we were gonna make a film for them, but you're like, oh, we have to get nitrogen. I was like, you have that thing. You at the time you had a nitrogen tank. It was beer gas, and I was like, you already have it. And you looked at me like, no, we need nitrogen. It's coffee, dude. I was like, yeah, dude, I know we have it. Like, that's when I learned about it. But with beer, you want the carbonic acid, like you said, for maintaining the carbonation level in it and all that. You don't want to do just straight nitrogen because it will go flat at pour, won't it?
Yeah, it would go flat eventually. Yeah,
right. If you don't,
if you didn't have any, I mean, if you had carbed it some, it would go flat at pour. If you hadn't carbed it some, it would never have any carbonation. So you would just be pushing it out with nitrogen, basically.
Right. So let's wrap it up with a recap for him, like kind of like your video on forced carb, but for just out. You would use the beer gas, or you would use a CO2 cylinder to start it at 6 to 8, and then switch it over when you're ready to serve. Like do that. Recap that whole process.
I would probably Google it and try to see what other people are doing, because I've never done it before. So
okay.
I don't want to say this is exactly how you do it. I'm just saying you're going to want some CO2 in the beer, because I mean, technically you could get some CO2 from the beer gas, but you're not going to, all you're doing is pushing it with a beer gas. So I would probably carbonate it some first with just CO2. That would be my guess, but I'm not an expert on it because I've just never had a huge. I need to do a nitrogen beer. We should do breakfast stout.
I was just about to say,
nitrogen.
do you want to do mine on nitrogen?
The problem I have right now is that I have all these cylinders out here. I have two, actually I sold one. I think I have 2 cylinders, and they say nitrogen on them. I honestly have no idea if those are beer gas or nitrogen. I don't know.
I don't know how you tell either.
You would think they would label it, but I'm guessing they must be nitrogen because I don't see beer gas on there anywhere.
Yeah,
so we'd have to get some beer gas.
Okay, well we could get that, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll try that on the breakfast stout, or do your own stout and try it, because it has been a long time since you've had. And actually the last time you had it may have been that coffee project. I mean, at that time, because that was when like the V3N had just launched. So this was years ago, from CM Becker, the Nitro faucet, and we may have started dabbling more with getting the equipment in then, but none of us have actually used it, mainly because like the breakfast stout tastes delicious coming off of CO2. But I will say, when we went to Great American Beer Festival 2014, they had Left Hand had a booth, and they served. This is the first time I had their melt stout on Nitro and the Wake Up Dead on Nitro. And they had them both, CO2 and Nitro. When I realized, those styles I like on Nitro. And now they sell them with the widget or however they package it. And if I see that in the store, I do prefer it that way. It's a creamier mouthfeel. It's a little bit different drinking experience. And with especially a melt stout, having it replicate, like the lactose makes the mouthfeel already creamier, but then that Nitro just kind of smooths it out, and it's enjoyable. So yeah, the breakfast stout would be fun too. I don't know if Founders doesn't do that on draft on Nitro, right? Like we would be doing that ourselves. It's not like they've done it before or that they do it. Does anybody know? I don't think. I'm just saying. I've never seen it.
I'm sure they have. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I bet they do.
Okay.
I mean, if they have it in cans and bottles.
I don't know. I'm saying I've never seen
do it all the time in their ball. I mean, they do
their tap room.
They do so many things in their tap room. I can't imagine they've never served it over nitrogen. That would be.
Yeah. I was saying I don't think I've ever seen it distributed as with nitrogen. The breakfast stout, I mean. I don't think I've ever seen any Founders beer distributed with nitrogen. But this is a great time to solicit feedback. Hey, Josh, you're an idiot. I can't listen to you without cringing, or whatever that Reddit guy said. Yeah, of course Founders does this. But also, too, if you are a proponent, or pardon me, if you usually serve nitrogen beers, how do you force carb? Let us know so we can help Derek out and give him a better, a more well-rounded answer, because like I said,
I just want to say, Josh, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
So I just Googled it, and they have it on their website that they have it on tap all year round.
On tap. Gotcha. I'm saying I don't think I've ever seen them distribute it in bottles or cans with nitrogen, is what I said.
I think I've seen the Founders Nitro Breakfast Stout.
Really? Oh crap!
Yeah, I had Total Wine and More.
Am I gonna have to edit this part out too, so I don't look like a double idiot on the show? Nope, because I'm more lazy than I am prideful. I don't think they have, but
yeah, they've got it. Nitro Breakfast Stout
at Total Wine
Brewing Company.
No way, but at like the way you can get here. I'm glad I didn't bet. Oh man, Todd, James looked it up before you could have bet me $5 bet because I don't have anything set up to search quickly. I had my other computer shut down. Anyways, I am digressing enough. I don't want to keep getting proven wrong over and over. Derek, thank you so much for submitting that question.
Good luck with that.
This is a final reminder. When we take your voicemail on the air, you do get a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. That's 325-305-6107. Gentlemen, that's all I have for this week. I greatly appreciate y'all's time letting me look like an idiot in front of y'all multiple times on the show. This was a good week for that.
It's been our pleasure.
It's been a good week for that. I'm going to be up there next week. November kits are going out, guys, for Trub Club, and then next week we'll announce the December kits. I think y'all are going to like it. We've talked about it in the. Maybe we hinted about it last week or a couple weeks ago. I won't spoil it. You'll go to homebrewhappyhour.com/club or directly to patreon.com/homebrewhappyhour to keep up with all the things we're doing and join our Trub Club. Come brew with us and all that fun stuff. But Todd and James, thank you for your time, guys. I will see y'all next week.
Thank you.
Yep.
And
have a good one.
That will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, where you can be Todd's best friend and leave us a voicemail at 325-305-6107. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a free pack of Imperial yeast along with premium recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. Go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.